Guys, take a minute and just look at these pictures. This is what next generation systems are all about. Whether you're a PS4 guy, if you're an Xbox One guy, if you're a Wii U guy, well, if you're a Wii U guy, I'm laughing at you. Because you should be a little girl until Smash Brothers comes out. Then I'm totally cool with it. But guys, look at these graphics. Look at the dust on Mars. This is the vision that Sony and Microsoft shared with us at E3 years ago. These graphics, I was blown away. If you can't figure it out by now, guys, I am on the Destiny beta. This was such a treat. I touched on it the last game with the Titanfall gameplay and said that I wanted to test Destiny because I saw, I saw streamers playing it. I saw YouTubers playing it. And to me, the game looked interesting. Initially, and I may say, you guys will see my viewpoints on it. Initially, I thought it was Halo 5. But holy crap, was I wrong. Destiny, for those of you that do not know, is produced by a little-known studio called Bungie. Bungie came out with this small title called Halo. I think they made like 5 or 6 installments of it, but it turned out to be a wildly successful franchise. There were many spin-off games, and now some studio called 343's got it, and, they're in more than capable hands. But Destiny, guys, is Bungie's next baby, and if it turns out to be anywhere close to what Halo did, guys, we're in for a ride. Destiny is the upcoming multiplayer action role-playing first-person shooter, does-it-all kind of game. And not to mention, you have Tyrion helping you out. That's right, folks. You closet Game of Thrones fans, or really intense Game of Thrones fans, you have Peter Dinklage. I think that's how you say his last name. Helping you out throughout this entire quest. It's pretty fucking cool, to tell you the honest-to-God truth. But this game is developed in a mythic science fiction open world setting kind of deal. It doesn't necessarily adhere to real world situations, even though you're partially in old Russia, I think is where this map takes place. It will be kind of a game that is described as by the developers as an alive game. Events are going to happen in real time, but they were not necessarily scripted by the developers. So just because we're all on at the same time, users and whatnot, in the big giant base camps, in missions, certain things will trigger. I did not have any experience with these bosses that appeared out of nowhere. I've heard instances from other people that were on the beta this weekend, and people that were testing the game, that there were bosses that came out of nowhere. If you had, I think it was like 8 or 10 people on a map in a area that's close together with one another, you guys fought co-op, and it was pretty badass, to be honest with you. So that is kind of an example of what you guys would see in the game. Now, this game is, at least from what I can tell, unlike anything that we've seen before. It's an online MMO, which, if you're looking for an example of that, if you're on my channel, I'm assuming you know what an MMO is. If you're not, welcome to the channel. An MMO game is a massive multiplayer, blah, blah, blah. I don't know the actual definition. I just blanked on the actual definition. But if you're looking for a case in point, an MMO would be World of Warcraft, some degree of Diablo, I guess, would be the best way, where you have classes, you have stuff like that. This game is truly one of the first instances I can think of where I have seen the vis-a-vis World of Warcraft type of mentality applied at least to the consoles, which is pretty fascinating. And I was kind of wondering how things would kind of transpire, with that. But you guys will see 1080p on both consoles. I know PS4 was on 1080p, I believe, for the beta, and Xbox was at 940, roughly, if somebody wants to check my math on that, or check my facts on that. I think it was about roughly 900 pixels for that. But you guys, basically what you're going to be able to do is create a character. For example, my guy was a Titan. He was, fairly good at combat, not really good with rifles per se, but, he's pretty badass. And then you guys are split into different types of characters. You have Guardians, the Fallen, the Darkness, stuff like that. From what I've gathered in my research, there's going to be about 15 strike-based missions, 23 in total. Missions that we're going to be able to see in the game when the game drops. I believe September 9th is the day that we're going to want to look for. But getting back to the MMO aspect to it, here I am at the Guardian Tower. This is where all the Guardians of the Galaxy, Marvel pun, where all the Guardians kind of gather. You get your next assignments. You talk to your big, beastly bosses, and they tell you what to do. Here's your rewards. There's your postmaster. Everybody's out and about just doing cool things, running around. You can interact. You can wave to the people. You can dance. You can sit by them. I actually don't have footage, but I had some really cool instances in interaction with some players where we were waving. We had dance-offs. I randomly sat down in the middle of the town center, and I had another gentleman sit down beside me, and we kind of just were gazed in a moment where we were sharing the beautiful sunset over the planet Earth. It was quite awesome, but the interaction altogether is very cool on the tower. Now, as for missions, they were pretty self-explanatory and pretty well laid out during the beta, and I'm anticipating basically, if they were that well polished in the beta, that in the final product we're going to see something very similar. They would tell you, you have this type of mission. It's for a level 4 Guardian, and you can have 1 to 3 people with you. It was very well laid out, very well thought out. It's clearly evident that Bungie put a lot of thought behind this beta before it went live to us. And it was, it was remarkable and really, honestly, a pleasure to play through this game. I cannot wait for September, when I'm going to be able to live stream this with you guys, hopefully get into a server, play with you guys, enjoy it, and just mess around. I didn't have the chance to play around with any friends today. Or not today necessarily, because the servers were offline. But during the beta, because Shelster was traveling. J-Bar, I think, had the PS3 beta. And, so I was just kind of going at it by myself mostly, and I was fortunate enough to run into some pretty cool people. I had great interaction. This isn't going to be your Call of Duty community. You guys don't have to worry about anybody necessarily being a dick, per se. But who knows, once PvP comes out and we have to deal with that, who knows? I'm sure you'll have the guys that are sweating wearing MLG headbands and sweatbands basically while they're playing the game. And then they'll somehow magically ruin the fun for us. But in the meantime, if you guys are concerned with any type of single-player campaign, the campaign's a joy. Bosses are very difficult. A lot of them require some thought. They have these areas where I believe I'm actually in one right now with this boss fight, where I cannot respawn. Or if I die, I respawn all the way back at the start, which is neat. Most games nowadays give you kind of the quote-unquote freebie, where if you respawn, you're back, all of your progress is saved where you died, which I don't like that. It's kind of neat to have a throwback where it's like, hey, you got to work your way back. These enemies are increasingly harder over here, even though I know we're at level 2, but the enemies were increasingly harder. As I started creeping up to the higher levels, I think the beta max level you could have gotten to was a 6 or an 8. Actually, it was level 8. But I noticed the higher I got, the increasingly more difficult the rivals became. And, the Vandals, like the one I'm combating here, began to become stealthy, and they were coming at you in packs, which was a pain in the ass, to be honest with you. But it was very neat to see how the game adapted to my playstyle, and it accommodated for my higher level and threw more challenges to me as I became to become holy mackerel, I am so good at the English language, let me tell you what. But as I became stronger, it was neat to see how the game kind of changed and adapted to me. And I can't wait to see the polished product, because if this game was moving It's such a wonderful pace while I was playing the beta. I had no problems. I think I DC'd from the server maybe one time. Which, kudos Bungie, because... Which, as you guys can tell, there was a slight, how do I say, technical difficulty. But kudos to Bungie for making sure I didn't DC more than once. You know, so it was, all in all, I would rate it a very good experience, a very positive experience while I was playing the game. It was, you know, probably one of the better betas I've played next to Titanfall. But, guys, I mean, September 9th, holy crap, it's going to be a game changer for us. It's going to be one of the better games out there to enjoy. You know, and I personally cannot wait to stream it, bring it to you guys, do gameplays, do walkthroughs, you know, and just generally have a great time. But that brings us to the end of the video, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure to smash that like button. Also, make sure to comment. Let me know what you guys want to see next on the channel. Thank you to who you are for getting me the beta access. We'll see you next time, guys.